Hi there, this is Chris from motorheads.com, and today's video is going to be about the 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera S. So, if you've been eagerly awaiting the Carrera S for the 992.2 update, well, Porsche has just taken the wraps off the Carrera S as its very first model for 2025. It's available as both a coupe or a cabriolet. And it's going to be the fifth 992 to get the daughter update, which began with the rollout of the base Carrera and the GTS back in May last year, and this was subsequently followed by the GT3 Touring model, and the manual only Carrera T in October of last year. But what exactly has changed between the 992.1 and the 992.2 Carrera models? Well, stick around as I look at things like performance, standard and optional features, exterior design highlights, the interior, and look at some options in the online configurator. And finally, price. How much more expensive is the 992.2 Carrera as compared to the outgoing models? So uh, let's get the show on the road. But before I get to the 992.2 Carrera S, first let's look at the Carrera S model line in general. I mean, let's look at the history. I mean, the Carrera S was introduced back in '05 with the 997 generation uh, as a more beefed up version of the entry level base Carrera. So the idea was to offer more power, better brakes, better suspension, and this I think is something that is relevant and kind of defines the Carrera S model to this day. The S, by the way, stands for sport. On the 997, for instance, if we're talking about power, I mean, you got about 355 horsepower from a naturally aspirated 3.8 mil back in the day. And this was about 40 more than the base Carrera at the time. And subsequently, if you look at the 991 generation, you got around 400 horsepower this time from a downsized 3 liter. And this was about 60 more than the base Carrera. In terms of transmission options, I mean, there was a 6-speed manual, a 7-speed manual, 7-speed Tiptronic, um, and 7-speed PDK across both the 99. If you look at the 991 and 997 collectively, in as for body styles, there were coupe and cabriolet with the 997, and with the 991, you also had the option of a Targa. So I mean, if you look at the popularity of the Carrera, uh, it slots in between the base model and the more potent GTS model. This is something that is still relevant. It still applies even to this day. And if you do a quick Google search, you'll look at the sales numbers, and the sales for the Carrera and the GTS are more on par with each other, and more so even than the base Carrera model. So this is exactly why the Carrera S is a very, very important model. However, the forums were abuzz as to if the new Carrera S is going to be hybridized, just like the GTS. I mean, why the delay in the launch of the Carrera S? Because if you look at launch patterns, it's the Carrera S that generally comes before the GTS in for most generations. So people were a bit hesitant, especially the purist bunch. Thankfully, that has not happened. The 992.2 Carrera S still sticks to a gas-only engine. So this neatly brings us to the 992.1 Carrera S, which was in fact the model that launched the 992 generation back in 2019. This was followed up by the base, the C4S with all-wheel drive, and the Targa model as well. Now, having been on the market for about 5 years, the Carrera S was long due for an update, uh, as I already mentioned. Now, moving on to how these two models actually differ. So, between the dot 1 and the dot 2 models for the 992 Carrera S, the engine still is a 3.0 liter twin turbocharged flat six engine that now puts out 473 horsepower, which is 30 more than the outgoing model. The torque, however, stays the same at 390 pound-feet for the 2025 model. Now, the additional power, this is actually achieved through renewed twin turbochargers that are borrowed from the outgoing 992.1 GTS. You got also got redesigned charge air cooling system and reworked intercoolers. 473 horsepower, by the way, is the exact figure that the outgoing GTS made as well. And here's how the power output looks like on the 992.2 Carrera S compared to the rest of the dot 2 updates. So the base Carrera and Carrera T, you've got the GTS here, the hybridized GTS, and the GT3. Moving on to the drivetrain. At launch, there was nothing mentioned about an all-wheel drive model. So for now, Porsche has only unveiled the C2S or the rear-wheel drive model. But most it we can expect an all-wheel drive model sooner or later. Uh, with rear-wheel drive, of course, you're going to get a more traditional 911 experience. But of course, all-wheel drive enhances all-weather capability and usability, right? Uh, the cheapest all-wheel drive 992.2 right now is going to be the GTS, the Carrera 4 GTS. So that if you want all-wheel drive with your dot two, that's the cheapest model at the moment. Moving on to transmissions, well, Porsche has unfortunately ditched the manual for this generation of the Carrera S. They're going to be sticking with the 8-speed PDK for 2025, and hopefully, I don't really know if they'll ever bring back a manual. But if you do want a stick, I mean, the only way to do that right now is going to be with especially if we're talking about the Carrera family specifically. Well, the cheaper Carrera T, which is manual only, is the way to go. If your budget can stretch, you can always look at the GT3 Touring. That's going to start at $222,000. So that's quite a premium over the Carrera S, about which starts at around just under 150K. So alternatively, if you're not about the latest and greatest, you can also look at the 992.1 Carrera S market, and prices for a low mileage example, you should be able to snag one for around 130K. Um, moving on to performance, well, the if you're talking about the 0 to 60 numbers, the new Carrera S with the PDK and Sport Chrono package, it's just a smidge under just a smidge over 3 seconds, I should say 3.1 seconds. So it's 2 tenths quicker than the outgoing 992.1 Carrera S. Top speed is around about the same. It's 1 mile an hour quicker now. And if we're talking about driving dynamics, I mean, this is where you're going to see some big upgrades on the Carrera S model specifically, because most of the features which were optional extras before are now standards. I mean, uh, notably, I mean, the sports exhaust system with silver tailpipes, for example, that was an optional extra. The braking system has now been upgraded as well. This is a Carrera straight. Obviously, this is something that was expected. So you now have larger discs from the outgoing GDS, 16 inches up front and 15 in the rear. I mean, here's a closer look at the standard features now on the 992.2 Carrera S. Uh, uh, you. take a closer look at the Matrix LED headlights. These are the base headlights that are out of the box. I'll get to it as to why I'm mentioning this right now. Moving on, a lot of performance-focused features like the Porsche torque vectoring, etc., have been retained. On the suspension front, Porsche has updated the dampers, which should help ride comfort. Here's a look at some noteworthy optional extras. Rear wheel steering, for example. PASM Sport is now an optional extra that could you get you get PASM as standard, but PASM Sport will set you back $1,200 more, and it's going to lower the ride height by another 10 mil. Rear axle steering, I think, is something that should be included because it improves the 911's agility, makes it corner far more easier. Uh, and kind of shrinks around you, in terms of the driving experience. This is especially because the 992's body overall is a lot more bigger than previous generation. So this is something that could actually help. PCCB is another big option. It's just under $10,000 for the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. Moving on. Yes, the front axle lift system. This, I think, is on the pricier side. It's $3,000, just under $3,000, but it's going to give you a additional peace of mind in order to clear obstacles. And if you live, some place where there's a steep driveway, or you have to encounter that on a regular basis, I think this could be worth it. Besides that, you've got advanced driver systems that can be added as optional extras: adaptive cruise, lane keep assist, etc. Now moving on to the visual updates. Yeah, so remember I spoke about those headlights. So these one are the HD matrix, HD. So which is why you see these lines. This is what was in the press material, but if this is what comes as standard out of the box. So these are the regular matrix LED headlights. Another noteworthy difference, you can see now you've got these prominent radar sensors up front. These bits are different in the front bumper. These can be body colored if you include a sport design package, which also includes additional side skirts and more body colored elements on the bumpers. Moving on to the rear, I mean, the profile more or less looks exactly the same in typical Porsche fashion compared to the outgoing model, but you can see the Porsche script now sits flush with the tail light, within the tail light housing, which is kind of slightly more different. You can see that the signals now extend all the way. This bumper kind of reminds me of the new GT3. It's a lot more angular and edgier, even the placement of these reflectors. I just wish there were more Porsche Carrera S specific options that were available for this particular trim to kind of distinguish it. I looked at the options on the base Carrera and the Carrera T, so there's a lot of similarity over there. So something to make the Carrera S stand out would have been uh, nice. These wheels, in particular, were of interest. They are known as the Carrera exclusive design wheels. However, they are available on the base model as well. It's so you might want, these could be an interesting way of at least trying to set the Carrera S apart. Besides that, the license plate housing is now integrated into the rear bumper, and that's about it as far as the rear changes are concerned. Now, stepping inside, this is where you'll see a big departure. In for me personally, I think the Carrera S is going to be the luxury option within the Carrera family. So, stepping inside, you've got a lot more use of leather. On the door panels, on the dashboard, and this also extends into the rear as well. So if you choose the optional exclusive manufacturer leather interior package, which by the way, just around $15,000. You're going to be able to choose between 48 two-tone combinations of leather, further elevating the in-cabin experience. Um, you also have a two-seat configuration like most of the 992 models, but you do have the option to add rear seats as a no-cost option. The big change, of course, for the 992.2, as with most of the models, is an all-digital gauge cluster. Gone is the center tach that you got with the 992.1. Also gone is the Le Mans style twister start-stop button. Uh, so these are the two big changes in terms of tech and instrumentation, etc. A standard wireless charging pad for your phone is now standard. I believe that's cooled now. So moving finally on to prices, and this is where the Carrera S sits. So 146, 146. This is for the 120 for the base and 222 for the GT3. 164 for the GTS and 134 for the Carrera T. The Cabriolet starts at 160, just under $160,000. So what did you think about the 992.2 Carrera S? Please let me know your thoughts. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.